everyone, it's Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. So today, in honor of the end of the Gilmore Girls readathon, I'm going to do the Gilmore Girls book tag. So the original video that this tag came from is actually no longer on BookTube, but if you look it up, so many people have done this tag. And I was actually inspired to do it by Read by Zoe because she had a really good one that she posted a couple years ago. So I was super excited. So let's just jump right in. So we have a list of questions or prompts that are inspired by characters off of the show. So the first one is Lorelai, choose a book with a character with a witty or sarcastic sense of humor. For that, I chose Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry, and the character in here, his name is Michael, and he is so sarcastic and irreverent, and I just laugh out loud throughout this whole book because of his quips. Next is Rory, what is your favorite classic? I chose Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery because this book has such a special meaning to me. My family is originally from Canada, and this is set in Prince Edward Island, and my family's from Nova Scotia, which is just below Prince Edward Island. And so growing up, I read this series I don't know how many times, and it was also, the movie was my sick day movie, and this Anne reminded me a lot of myself in that I felt like I was different, and I loved poetry, and I was so imaginative and would just daydream a lot. And I just love her. She's one of my favorite characters of all time, and so I had to pick this for my favorite classic. The next prompt is Luke, a book you secretly love but are afraid to admit. I really couldn't think of anything for this one. I'm really not ashamed of anything I read because I don't feel like you should shame people for what they read. So I don't have an answer for this. So we're just going to move on. Next is Lane, a musical character. For that, I picked Jem from the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. He plays violin, and Jem is the sweetest little cinnamon roll. And I love him as a character, and he's such a good person and such a good friend. And apparently he's very, very talented at the violin. The next prompt is Dean, your first love, and this can be a character or a book or book series that you first fell in love with. And for that, I had to go with the Nancy Drew series because this is the first book series that I remember ever really loving. My mom had a few of these from when she was little, and I ended up liking them, so my dad took me to Barnes & Noble and we bought the first, I think, 10, and I just absolutely loved them. And so over the years I've collected the original 56 books, and I still read them every once in a while because it's just so nostalgic. The series has been around since the 30s, and as a character I just love Nancy Drew because she's super smart and intuitive, and I love that she can solve these cases, sometimes with the help of her friends. And I also love that these are just kind of wholesome, not over the top books. So I wanted to be Nancy Drew when I was little, and I still kind of want to be. So next is Suki, pick a book that you devoured. And for that, I had to go with There's Something About Sweetie by Sandhya Menon. So I do have a full book review for this book that I'll link in the cards above. But the first time I read this book, I actually listened to it on audio, and I literally read it in one sitting. I started it on like a Friday evening and then just binged it till like 4 in the morning. And I did the exact same thing the next weekend. So I devoured this book and I absolutely love it. Next is Jess, which is a book you love that gets the most hate. And I had a hard time with this because I really don't have any books that are just mostly hated. So I decided to go with the book that I think people are either they really like it or they don't like it. And for that I chose The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi. I really liked this book. I gave it 4 stars and I also have a review which I'll link in the cards above. But I found that people either really like this or they really don't like it. There's really not a lot of people that are in between, and I think it's because the world building is a little lacking, but to me the characters really made up for it. And this is going to be a trilogy, so I do think that the world building is going to be expanded upon in the next book. And I actually have an arc for it, so I'm about to reread this so I can read the next book in the series. Next is Miss Patty, which is a book that was ruined by the hype. And first of all, I don't know why that's paired with Miss Patty because I love her and she's beloved by many, but we're just gonna go with it. So for that I chose Pride by Evie Zaboy. This is a modern take on Pride and Prejudice that is set in Brooklyn, and everybody's just been raving about this book. So I went into it with high expectations, and then I ended up giving it like 3 stars. I thought it was pretty good, and I really liked the concept behind it, but it just wasn't all that I thought it was gonna be. So I think if I hadn't gone into it with so much expectation, if I had waited till a lot of the hype died down, I do think I would have liked this book a little more. Next is Emily Gilmore, Show Your Most Expensive Book. And for this, it's actually a set. I got the Illumicrate Special Edition Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares because this is my all-time favorite duology, and Strange the Dreamer is my favorite book. And I had to get these. It was kind of a treat yourself moment. So they've got sprayed edges, UK covers, and they're signed. And I absolutely adore these. I think they're beautiful, and I think they're probably the most beautiful books I own. So to me, it was worth it. I probably did spend too much money, but I love this series so much, and I just think the writing's beautiful and the covers are beautiful and everything about this series is beautiful, so I do not regret purchasing these. And last but not least is Paris, Pick an Uptight Character. And for this, I don't have a physical copy of the book because I borrowed it from my library, but the character I chose is Rhiannon from The Right Swipe. And I ended up not liking this book, but Rhiannon is a very uptight character. She's been hurt in the past, so she's very, very cold, and she has a lot of rules about dating and life, and she just does not want to break those rules for anything. And so I think she fits this Paris prompt to a T. But anyway, that concludes the Gilmore Girls book tag. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button down below. Make sure to click the bell icon so that you can be notified anytime I upload new content. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.